Oh, welcome back to my Instagram Live. Very nice to be back with you. How did everybody enjoy the weekend? Did you have a relaxing, festive time? Lots of community spirit, volunteering maybe yesterday. We had a great village activity. You might have seen it on my stories. We had like a big get together in the evening. Everybody kind of brought food for a barbecue and just had some music. And it was just really nice, all ages, all together, loads of bunting, doing what Britain does best, coming together. Well, today I am really thrilled to be doing a deep dive into a fascinating subject. Now, we've spoken about this before, but not for a while. Nutrigenomics. Yeah, you may need a pen and paper for this, so listen up. But we will save it. So if you are just dipping into it and need to come back to it later, or you want to replay it later on, then that would be absolutely fine, because I'm going to be joined by Emma Beswick, who is the founder of this amazing company called Lifecode Gx. She has been a lifesaver for various members of my family, including Lily, and you've maybe following her journey with chronic illness and autoimmune issues and long-term pain. This has been fundamental for her, also very helpful for Brella, my middle daughter, and also helpful for me and others for reasons that I shall be explaining. We do have a Liz Loves discount. It's a fantastic exclusive discount, 15% off the Nutrient Core Test. Now that has a new histamine element to it. So we will be talking histamine. So if histamine intolerance, MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, hay fever, allergies, those kinds of things, if they are issues for you or your family, you really, really need to watch this, okay? So that is the overview. Let me get Lainey on. So Lainey is from my team and she will be joining as a moderator here. So if you've got any questions about Earle Wellbeing or subscribing to the magazine, any of that, then Lainey will be on hand. And now let us get Emma joining us. And I have to say, I was looking through my report. So this is actually my personal report, which we're going to go through a little bit of. So I don't mind sharing some of my personal health details, some of my intimate secrets known only to my DNA and me. Emma, I can't see you just yet, but hopefully you will be on my request to join. Yeah, so Lifecode Gx. So I first came across them. Oh gosh, it's hard to know, isn't it, with time? I think because of lockdown and everything was all such a blur, but it's probably about 2 years ago, maybe more. And it's a very simple test that you can do. It is a cheek swab, so it's not a blood test or anything. They just send you a little, like a cotton bud, you just do a simple swab. You can do it any ages. I've done it for all members of my family, even my youngest, because our genes don't change. So whether you are genetically testing a baby or a centenarian, you can be 102 years old and still find the same genetic variances that you had as a child, obviously. And what I love about this form of genetic testing is it's looking for SNPs. And these are real things. They're actually SNPSs, and there's a long, complicated word what that stands for, but it's kind of abbreviated to SNPs. So everybody working in epigenetics or nutrigenomics refers to them as SNPs. And what they are is they are variances of gene expression. Okay, so we all have our genes, obviously, that we're born with, and we have little variances on them. So, just as my genes are different from your genes, I will have different variances. So although my children, for example, have inherited a lot of my genes, they will have their own genetic variances, some the same, some different. And that is the really fascinating bit, because if you can think of our genetics as the deck of cards that we were dealt at life when we were born, and it's a bit of a lottery, isn't it, what hand you get dealt. However, we can make a difference to how we feel and how our health is by how we play those cards. And if you know your genetic variances, that makes a huge difference, as we will discover. I think Emma is now in the house. Thrilled that we'd be able to bring it back with the Liz Loves, because they're not cheap, but they are a fantastic investment. And in terms of healthcare, probably the best investment you can make, because it tells you what supplements you need, and it is absolutely black and white. Hello, Emma. I am
Hello,
very,
how are
very
you?
well, and I am so thrilled that you're back with us. So thrilled that you've given us a discount. It's made a lot of difference to a lot of people's lives. I know when we've talked about this before, a lot of my community here went and had the tests with you, and I've had so many messages to say that it's been life-changing. It,
It's so
you must have a lovely
encouraging
job
for
because you must get all these
us.
messages from people
Yeah,
going, "Oh my gosh, now it makes sense. Now I understand why I react
it
in this way to caffeine,
does.
why my sleep is like this, why my stress levels are like this." And you can save a lot of money on supplements because you tell us what we don't need.
Exactly, that's the plan. That is exactly the plan. I sometimes think I need to take a little bit of my own medicine.
That's always the way, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, it's so rewarding to have that kind of feedback. And we are very, very lucky
Well,
to be on
you're
that
doing a
receiving
great
end.
job, and not
So
only that, but you are obviously. Oh, I've just been told there's a delay on the line, so we need to not talk over each other. I'll give you a little bit of a gap. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Sometimes it happens with Instagram. But just to say, and then I'll let you speak. Um, the Nutrient Core report, you've now updated it to have the histamine intolerance. So would you like to just explain basically, if people sign up and get this, what they're going to get and how the histamine bit works?
yeah, they're two separate reports, but we've created a package that includes both.
Oh,
So a package
that's
just for you and your
thank you.
community. Yes. So we think it's really important if you're looking at histamine, which we're going to talk about, aren't we? But that you have the foundation in place, and that's your nutrient core. So yeah, so a lot of people in your community have
Yeah.
done the nutrient core DNA test. A lot of them haven't, so it's a real mixture. And you're showing some of your fantastic results there. But that is a report that for every single person, it has something important in it. Um, and it's vitamins, vitamin A, D, C, and that those vitamins, essential nutrients, are called essential nutrients for a reason. And so we want to make sure that if you have those SNPs that you were explaining, Liz, that you know that some of those vitamins for you are the ones that would benefit from that extra investment in time and money and support. And they all have lots and lots and lots of functions. And some of them have a big impact on your ability to tolerate
So let me just stop
histamine.
you there. Let me just share a few of my results. I don't mind revealing some of my medical history anyway to the world at large, but this is what you can expect if you do it. Okay, so I am not lactose intolerant genetically. You can see that it's come up as green, and it's like a very simple traffic light system: green, amber, red. Green being everything's functioning fine, amber a little bit suspect, you might need to take some action, and red, there's a block somewhere, genetic SNP. I'm quite sensitive to gluten, which I kind of know. I get puffy if I eat a lot of bread and
Mm-hmm.
refined carbs. And you can see that, genetically,
Yeah.
that is showing what I instinctively have found out over the years. My microbiome, I'm glad to say, is good. It's green. Caffeine is pretty good. Vitamin A, I don't convert very well. Again, that is, and this is the retinol, the animal form. So being a vegan would not be very good for me. Even more so, actually, here, this is my B12. Look at that, I've got red. Need to be really careful and mindful of my B12. So again, if I was a plant-based eater, that would not be giving me the best of health. Vitamin C is green. I've got lots of that. Vitamin D, again, that's being measured. Vitamin K, I'm not particularly good. Glutathione, now this for me was the light bulb moment. Glutathione is red. And I'd not even heard of glutathione until we spoke. And after I got this report, Emma, I went and I bought my first lot of glutathione, and I woke up the next day feeling as though I'd had new batteries put in my body. It was nothing short of amazing.
And that's what I mean. There's always something that is wow. And glutathione is the master antioxidant. So what does that mean? It means that it is important for offsetting damage, offsetting toxicity. So have that little bit of gluten and it might stimulate a response and cause some irritation. But if your glutathione status is perfect, or as good as it can be, robust, then that can help to reduce the impact to some extent. And so we're living in a world full of toxins. We can't avoid them. And having a appropriate intake and support for glutathione for you personally can make such a difference.
Personalization. Appetite, interestingly, I've got a snip on controlling when to stop eating. So I need to be aware of that. And I do know, I mean, you know, it's called in the family the greedy gene. And, you know, many of us have it. We just want to carry on eating because we love it. And I don't have that switch off factor. So now I know it. You know, I know that that's a genetic weakness, if you like, or sensitivity for me. Really interesting to be able to say, okay, I need to stop now because my hormones are not telling me to stop because of what's going on in my genetic variances. Lots of information on inflammation. I'm just whizzing through this because I really want to get on to the histamine. Blood pressure, it tells you about your circadian rhythm. It shows actually that I am actually clinically a night owl, which I know. Really fascinating, highly worthwhile. When, just as a little FYI, when Brella did this, and she's talked about this openly, so I know she won't mind me sharing, she was found to have lots of red on her vitamin D, which actually is, as you've explained to me, more of a hormone than a vitamin. And since taking high doses of vitamin D, which is what she needs personally, and that's proven by her genetic gene expressions, she has been transformed. You know, the anxiety, the sleep, the stress, very, very different. She's a very different girl, and that is thanks to you and Lifecode Gx. So, you know, I will forever be grateful for having discovered you. And the same with Lily too, in particular to her histamine, because she has MCAS. So tell us about this report. So for those who've already done the Nutrient Core report, can they get a discount on this separately, or is it just on the package?
There's a separate package for histamine as well. So if they've done Nutrient Core, they can just do histamine, and there is a discount on the histamine package. So histamine is such a problem for so many people. And again, it's because our environment is more toxic than it used to be in certain ways. And we are exposed to lots and lots of things that already prompt our immune system to be more active and sometimes a little bit overactive. And so sometimes with histamine, we talk about a bucket of histamine, and it's a chemical that is released by our immune system that is meant to defend us, and it's meant to help our white blood cells get to the threat and attack the pathogen and all of that stuff. But it can be a problem if it's too much, if it's over responsive. And that can be not necessarily a bacterial or viral pathogen, but it can respond in a similar way to pollen.
As I know. Absolutely. And, you know, quercetin is something that I am living on at the moment to help combat that. Just to say, these reports, they're very detailed and they are very complicated when you look at them, but your package does include an individual one-to-one online with a professional, a health practitioner, to go through it with you, your results for you. So when you get this, you know actually what it means, and can put it into everyday life. So this is mine here, and you can see the different colored dots, so you can see the different pathways of how the genes are working, and you can see where it goes from amber to green, and then sort of simplified here with it all listed out. Now I'm mostly green, but these are a couple of warnings for me, aren't they? What is going on here?
Absolutely. So there are two arms to the histamine detoxification, if you will. So it's the breakdown of histamine. And on the one arm, you're all green, and that's the gut one. And on the other one, which is much more about pollen, actually, and your innate immune system and how it responds to things like that, you have an amber. And this gene HNMT, it's basically the H stands for histamine and the MT stands for methyl transferase. And when it comes to genetics, people have often heard of something called methylation. And that methylation is basically acting upon histamine and breaking it down and deactivating it. And so what that means for you, Liz, is your methylation needs to be tip top. And that's B vitamins, zinc, magnesium as well. But remember on your nutrient core, you mentioned B12. So that's why we want to tie these things together. And as you said, that's why we provide a health professional to explain it to you, because they can make sense of these connections.
Yeah, so if I just go back to my B12 on here. So yeah, it was vitamin A. And then, yeah, my B vitamins here. Look, I mean, that's showing red. That is like flashing danger. That's a red alert signal. And those are my genes that are related to B12, low B12 absorption, more susceptible to Helicobacter pylori infection and gastritis, and reduced B12 absorption. Really interesting. I do feel better. I've recently started taking a B multi and making sure that it's the methyl form of B vitamins, because that's important, isn't it, to come back to your methylation?
Yeah, it's more accessible for your body, basically. It's, you know, science is moving on like a rate of knots the whole time. And the methyl Bs, for the vast majority of people, are better tolerated and hit the spot more quickly. So it really makes sense to have that complex that has the multiple B vitamins in it, because they all work together. So even though your B12 is the one that looks red, actually B12 will work in synergy with other B vitamins.
You need them all.
So you need
I buy a complex. I'm just being asked here what I buy one from BioCare, which they have methyl B vitamins. And there is a Liz Loves discount also at BioCare. So I actually get a lot of my basic vitamins from them. I find them very good.
Yeah. So really well formulated supplement. So we know that there are different qualities of testing companies, there are different qualities of supplement companies. And so it's really important. It's really worth investing in the right quality supplement. And this has enabled you to narrow down
I'm very focused now on what I take, and I always take my glutathione. I take liposomal glutathione because, again, doing the research, that's shown to be absorbed straight into the cells. What do you think about things like NMN and NAD and cysteine? Do these play a role with methylation? Is that important for someone like me or others? Because actually, I remember talking to you before about glutathione, and you pointed out that about a third of those who do the test, because it's all anonymized, they don't keep your data, nobody knows who you are, but you can obviously see just sort of, you know, sheets of data, just numbers. About a third of those who do the test have a glutathione issue. So at least a third.
At least,
I mean, think what you could be missing, how much more energy you could be getting. Like me, if you suddenly find that it's unlocking a whole new world. You know, I've always eaten well, I've been healthy. And I remember saying to you, how come I haven't felt bad? And you've said, well, it's probably, Liz, because you eat really well, you've got loads of vitamin C going on, you're doing all of that. So, your body's learnt to get around it and you've adapted. But how much better could you be? That's the thing.
And you don't know on this kind of gradient of what good is. So like you say, you might think that you're good. You might not think you're good, and that's a whole other thing, but you might feel as if you're doing all right. I'm 54, I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel pretty good for 54. But then if you start to really target and personalize and support the things that make the biggest difference, you are very likely to experience a lift and a shift. And that happened to me. I was really conscious of a shift in energy. Who doesn't
Well,
want more energy?
talking about age, Emma, I've got a big birthday in a couple of weeks. I can't even say the number because it just doesn't relate. It's actually on the front of the magazine. And I'm very conscious of aging and wanting to age well and wanting to have a better second half, frankly, because my first half, parts of it were good, parts of it were a bit pants, actually. And so I'm going to put time and effort and energy into making sure that the next half of my life is the best it can possibly be. And investing in things like this that I know will work, that I see results. And that's why I get so passionate about it and get on my soapbox, because I want everybody else to have this. I want us all to enjoy it. I posted this morning, from my shower, with a cold shower. Why do I do it? Because I feel so much better. I want to encourage everybody. Coming back to my point, sorry, I got so engrossed in what you were saying. The link with glutathione and NAD and NMN and sirtuins and these zombie cells, what's the connection there?
So those things are all really, really good for mitochondria. And as we're all aging, it's inevitable. Our mitochondria can become a little less efficient. And so all those things help to gently stress the mitochondria. And it's like exercising a muscle. That little bit of stress actually is good for the mitochondria. These are the energy powerhouses, and it helps them to replicate, so there are more of them, and it helps them to be better at producing ATP, the energy. And so glutathione really protects mitochondria because they can be easily damaged. And NAD or niacin, there are lots of forms, that's a whole other conversation, isn't it? They really, really help to stimulate the mitochondria and push them into action, as does cold exposure.
I loved it. You popped onto my Instagram this morning. I saw your comment, Emma, saying that cold showers, can also help with fat loss.
Yes. And and it's all part of this pathway, which is sirtuins, a gene called PGC1A, which is in the Nutrient Core report. Yours is green. That prompts and pushes and stimulates the mitochondria, and cold exposure does the same thing. So it's these good stressors. No. It's not too much. It's a little bit of a stressor. And in the same way you feel more awake and alive, that's what it's doing within your cells and to these tiny, tiny mitochondria within them. So it's absolutely fantastic.
In terms of this histamine report, this is showing me that I need to take extra care, particularly around the B vitamins. Is that right?
And yes, B vitamins, definitely, 100%. And I know that you mentioned quercetin. And quercetin, it's where it all joins together, actually, because quercetin is great as a longevity molecule. So it's really, really good for the mitochondria and the energy. But it is also a mast cell stabilizer. which means your histamine levels are going to be moderated and kept under control. Because it's kind of leaky mast cells that let all the histamine out, and they disintegrate too easily, and that's what leads to those overwhelming, like hay fever symptoms. So I know you're a big fan of quercetin, and
I mean,
so
many health practitioners are recommending it mainstream, as well as functional medicine and more naturopathic doctors. In fact, I've just recorded a podcast with Professor Vic Kular, who I've been stalking for years, certainly months, to get onto my podcast, because he's amazing medic based at St Mary's. He's head of a department there, and we were talking about mast cells and about quercetin, and he advocates quercetin for his patients with mast cell activation syndrome. And he was saying it's much more common than we might imagine, up to 20% of the population. And for women, it's more common in women, and it's very much linked to bladder problems. It's really fascinating. He's actually a professor of urology, amongst other things. And that's what led him, I think, into the journey looking at mast cells and histamine, and the relationship between histamine and bladder issues. It's a fascinating area of medicine. And to get a mainstream medic like that, published, I mean, you can look him up on PubMed, he's got so many academic journals to his name, talking about the benefits of quercetin and dampening down the mast cells. And this would be so helpful if you suspect that you might have a mast cell issue, and that can manifest itself in ME, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, allergies. You know, for Lily, it was acute constant migraines. That was the start of her journey. You know, you've been fundamental, I can't tell you, in helping my family and me, Emma.
Thank you so much, and I'm really pleased to hear that, and that Lily's health is improving as well. But yeah, it's not funny or fun to have histamine intolerance. It really isn't, and it's not good enough to just brush it off as a bit of hay fever.
It's an indication that there's a serious imbalance with your histamine. And when you think that histamine has a fundamental role with our immune system, and actually, I can see, Alison, it was Vic Kular, Professor Vic Kular. One of the things that he was talking about was work with long COVID and looking at how antihistamines, in particular loratadine, can help patients who are suffering from this overload of mast cell activity, which, you know, may or may not in itself be, you know, long COVID. So it's a fascinating area of medicine for sure.
It is fascinating, and you know, I'm a naturopathic nutritionist, but I have absolutely no issue at all with recommending antihistamines as a start point to get a break from this. If that can give you or your system enough of a break point in order to start the recovery and to build in the food kind of take out the bad foods or the foods that are causing irritation. We do have a list
actually on lizellewellbeing.com. If you look up histamine, there's a link to the Swiss clinics with all the high histamine foods. Avocados, love them, not particularly sustainable, but also one of the highest forms of histamine. So, you know, even just that, you know, things like spinach, you know, an avocado, spinach, bacon and tomato salad, probably the highest amount of histamine that you can have on a plate.
Exactly, and we've all been told, and we know these things are great and healthy, but once you have your histamine under control, and this is what this is all about, it's basically saying we can identify genetics that can actually be acted upon. That's the point. It's not genetics that you're stuck with and it's just tough, you've got this problem forever.
You can feel 100% better. You can do an absolute about turn with your health if you know the information. And you know, these tests that you do, they are so accurate. It's not, well, maybe it could be this, it could be that. It's binary. You know, these genes, they're either off or they're on. You know, it's like you can't be slightly pregnant. You know, it's either it's one thing or the other. And that is what I love about it. You absolutely get evidence-based. information
Yeah.
personalized for you. Emma, we could go on and on. I'm just so thrilled that you were able to join us today. Where can people contact you for more information? Because I'm sure this is going to trigger a whole load of information and requests. And is it Instagram best? Is it online, your website? What's the best?
So any of them. So
Yep.
you've got our Instagram here, and we've got the packages on our website under lifecodegx.com packages. And we've got links in our bio as well. If you want to contact us, you can message us on Instagram, or you can message our team at lifecodegx.com. And we just love to hear from you.
I can't recommend it enough, really. And I'm thrilled that you've had the time to come back, and that we know our teams have worked really hard to get this exclusive package together. You've given us the discount. We're really grateful, and it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you.
Very grateful in
bless
return,
you.
Liz.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Emma. Bye-bye.
You too.
Click
Bye.
off, otherwise I might click everybody off. Seriously good. I mean, I know I always say this about Liz Loves, and that's the whole point, actually, of Liz Loves. It has to be a love. It's not, Liz kind of quite likes this. No, that doesn't cut it. It is an absolute love. So here we go. These are what we were talking about. We were talking about the nutrient core report and also the histamine intolerance, and you can do them both together as a special package, or you can do them separately. Just before I go, I have been trying so successfully the he-she. This is the golden hour pack. Do you remember last week we were talking? The lovely female founder based in Belfast. I cannot believe how soft my skin is after using this. This is the tan remover and primer, full of AHAs that kind of munch up all the dead skin cells. I use this on my skin before a shower, leave it on for just a few minutes, and then you rinse it off. Amazing. Your skin is like silk afterwards. And then, of course, you can apply the self-tan. I love this one, the overnight hyaluronic tan balm. I'm looking just a little bit brown. I haven't put too much on because kind of the sun's not really shining. So just enough to give me a bit of a glow and not to have to use foundation. This is the mitt that comes with that. And then I also really like this. This is the day-to-day gradual tan. So you can use this just like a body moisturizer. And I'm not going to show you my legs because actually they're covered in opaque tights right now, but they do have a subtle, natural looking golden glow. It's really, really impressive, and it smells nice, and it's streak free, really good. So highly recommend them. They are a new Liz Loves for us, 20% off, and that is he-she.eu. And also lots of you chatting about gut health, and this is another great British brand, evidence-based, Simprove. They've got the clinical studies to prove it. Delighted to say that we have a 15% deal with Liz Loves off them, and that's off their 12-week course. I've actually got Brella doing this at the moment. She's just started this. Loves it. Mango and passion fruit flavour. You just have a little bit every morning for 12 weeks. And really fascinating. Head to lizearlewellbeing.com if you want to find out more. And of course, we do have the fab subscription gift, the Drops of Vitality from Life Armour, if you would like to subscribe to the magazine. Look at matching in pink today. If you haven't already got your copy and your subscription, that's a great time to get it, because you've got your free gift and your free copy and your free P&P. In fact, it's all virtually free, and I hope that you love it, because this is the special birthday issue all about aging well. That is it for today. I'll be back with you on Thursday with one of my favourite people, actually, Tim Samuels. He's the founder of Pharmacist. He's also a brilliant investigative journalist, BBC journalist, and he and I have lots of chats about all sorts of things, but we are going to be particularly looking at the relationship between mood and food. Yeah, mood and food, and talking about adaptogenic herbs and all sorts of interesting things. So I hope that you will join me then live, if not on catch up. We will save this recording, so do please replay it and make notes, and I highly recommend Lifecode Gx for you, and if you can, for other members of your family. It's absolutely top. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.